Hello again. To meet today's guest, we go to the Philippine Eagle Captive Breeding Project in the Philippines. Dr. Jason Ibanez is a conservation biologist for the Philippine Eagle Foundation. Sarangani has one of the most viable Philippine eagle habitats on the island of Mindanao. The mountain range is called Mount Buza Key Biodiversity Area and hosts one of the finest rainforests on the island of Mindanao. It is estimated that the area holds between 10 and 15 Philippine eagles. The Philippine eagle is also found on 3 other major islands in the Philippines: Luzon, Samar, and Leyte. Dr. Ibanez talks about the skills needed to be a field biologist. For students of English as a foreign language, this video will be interesting because you will hear a Filipino and a British accent. Working with Philippine eagles and living the wildlife looks like this. Jason, can we start by you explaining what do you do?
I'm trained as a biologist, but at the same time, I also do indigenous development. I took my bachelor's degree in biology, and then I did my master's on zoology, and I studied the Philippine eagles as my master's research. But then when I did my PhD training, I focused on how indigenous peoples are managing their ancestral domains and how we can integrate indigenous knowledge as well as scientific knowledge together for eagle conservation and biodiversity conservation work. And now that's what I do. I supervise research on the ecology and biology of Philippine eagles. Sarangani has one of the most viable Philippine eagle habitats on Mindanao. The mountain range is called Mount Busa Key Biodiversity Area. It was called such because it holds one of the last rainforests of Mindanao. So the idea is to work with teachers from this region and integrate Philippine Eagle values and lessons into the primary and secondary level education curriculum.
Jason, why is the Philippine eagle important?
The Philippine Eagle is important for 3 reasons. The first, it is our apex predator. And apex predators are big players of the ecosystem. You know, they keep ecosystems intact. They keep the population of their prey species under check. Secondly, the Philippine eagle is the country's national bird. And last but not the least, although it's only found in the Philippines, we also believe that it's a treasure of the world.
Is it true, Jason, that it used to be called the Philippine monkey-eating eagle and is now the Philippine eagle, or are those names both still used interchangeably?
And the monkey-eating eagle is an old name that we no longer use.
How does the year look when managing Philippine eagles?
You know, immediately after the breeding season, we do an annual physical checkup of our Philippine eagles, and that normally coincides with the new moon period of the month of March. And this is basically to check the status of our eagles right after they've bred or right after they laid an egg and reared the chick. And so we have a group of veterinary consultants and our animal keepers catching, restraining the captive Philippine eagles at night. This is to minimize stress among the birds. You know, it's best to capture them at night uh, when they couldn't see the environment or the captors. And then we weigh them, give vitamins, we draw blood, and then do the basic blood chemistry analysis. Currently have 36 Philippine eagles in captivity. And then we wait for the next breeding season, which starts as early as August. And this would keep the team busier because, of course, they need to work with the male eagles, especially the imprinted ones. No, we have male eagles who were trained to think that their partners are actually humans or animal keepers. So the animal keepers had to bring in a daily supply of branches, fresh branches to the male eagles so that that would stimulate them to produce semen on a daily basis. No? But also we have natural pairs, no? You know, male and female eagles in the same cage, and we also provide the right food, the right amount of branches so that they can go about with their natural courtship displays. The male bringing food to the female during nesting season is very important for sealing the pair bond. So we really need to give the food at the proper timing, make sure that there's enough food for the male to offer to the female, and that would lead to a successful egg laying and then hatching. So yeah, it's a tedious work, very precise work happening during the nesting season, which runs from August until February. And if we have chicks on board, then they would take care of it for the next 2 years before they will be released back to the wild.
Jason, what food do you provide for the male?
So we have our own food stock facility. We raise rabbits, guinea pigs, as well as goats. But we also occasionally provide horse meat. Each individual eagle is unique. No, they have certain food preferences. For instance, a male eagle might choose the rabbit meat as its favorite food, but then another male eagle might want horse meat. But for eaglets, for chicks, we use ground meat from quail because it's very rich in nutrients and the soft bones can be included in the diet. But quail are only provided to the chicks or the eaglets. And we also have white rats as food for the Philippines.
Jason, I remember reading somewhere, are there around the world three types of harpy eagle? The one from South America and also the Philippine eagle is considered a type of harpy eagle. Is that true?
Well, that's a very interesting question, John. That's what previous investigators believed, no? Because the Philippine eagle looks like the harpy eagle. No, it's the same heavyweight eagle. The Philippine eagle also resembles the crowned eagles of Africa. And although smaller, it also looks closer or similar to the New Guinea harpy eagle. But based on a DNA study that was done a few years ago, it appears that the Philippine eagle is not actually related to these large forest eagles. In fact, it doesn't belong to the so-called harpy group of eagles. It has a total lineage or bloodline of its own. And interestingly, the closest relative of the Philippine eagle, based on a phylogenetic study, are the snake eagles of Africa. You know, the batalur is its closest relative. But then again, no, thinking about the distance between Africa and the Philippines, you would understand that this relationship is very, very much remote. And that what makes the Philippine eagle really a genetically unique um, product of evolutionary creation. And so we need everyone, every citizen of the globe should cherish this rare biological treasure.
Jason, what jobs are there with eagles?
Well, of course, we need animal keepers, to take care of the birds in captivity, field biologists who must do surveys of Philippine eagles, install GPS trackers on wild eagles, and then monitor them faithfully in the wild, using radio telemetry and GPS, GSM telemetry techniques. We need biodiversity people, to do surveys of habitats, look at the prey animals, how abundant they are, how rare they are. But because our work also covers community-based work, we also need anthropologists, social workers. We also need community development workers. No? And this is very important in the context of the Philippine Eagle, where working with indigenous peoples and delivering clear benefits to them from conservation is key to its survival. We need people from different disciplines, both for research and development work.
Wow, it's really a multidisciplinary project, isn't it?
Exactly.
Jason, what questions regarding Philippine eagle conservation would you like to see answered in the next 30 years?
What's the real breeding density of eagles on other islands? The Philippine eagle is found on four major islands, namely Luzon, Leyte, Samar, and Mindanao of the Philippines. We've been very active at documenting nesting sites and breeding success on Mindanao. In fact, the latest population estimate is based on long-term data for these parameters on Mindanao, but we know very little of the population in Luzon, including Samar. So the question of how many eagles do we really have in Luzon and Samar, that's a very basic ecological question that we would like to answer. And then also, what are the threats that these eagles are facing on these islands? Now, we believe that on Samar and Luzon Island, natural factors such as strong rains, typhoons, or tropical cyclones might be limiting the numbers of population in Luzon and Samar. We seldom see the eagles in Luzon and Samar. Unlike in Mindanao, where if you go out for 6 months and look for Philippine eagles within historical nesting sites, you would find them there in maybe in 3 to 4 weeks of observing. But in Luzon, you might be visiting an old nesting site, but you've been there for like 1 and 1.5 months and still you haven't seen them. We're thinking that maybe the breeding density of Philippine eagles in these islands, because of the impacts of typhoon, could be lower. So that's a priority for research. We also want to know what's the impact of climate change to breeding potential and survival. No, we just recently had a case of an egg failing to hatch in an old nesting site. And during the incubation period, we had a freak amount of rains, and this is unprecedented. In the same particular nesting site, the pair that we've monitored since 2007 have been successfully hatching their eggs. 100% out of 12 nesting attempts, all egg hatch. And then all of a sudden, this year, the egg failed to hatch. And it coincided with the occurrence of a freak rainfall pattern within that area. In Leyte, we had a super typhoon happening in 2013. And prior to the super typhoon, we've been seeing eagles on that island every year. One or two eagles from two habitats in that island, Leyte Island. But after Super Typhoon Yolanda, annual surveys did not find any Philippine eagle. So we think that maybe this super typhoon has decimated or destroyed all of the living eagles within the island. So yes, so climate change, we believe, because of prolonged droughts and freak typhoons and rainfalls, could be impacting the Philippine eagle population, and we want to know how exactly are they being affected.
Jason, what skills does somebody need to work on the Philippine Eagle project?
Right. So if you're doing field surveys or Philippine eagle surveys, of course, you need to have the right skills for raptor identification. We have at least 36 species of raptors in the Philippines. We want biologists who can differentiate the species of diurnal raptors. Tree climbing skills is very important, especially if you're doing surveys in Luzon, in Samar, where forests are really very thick. That the only way to watch the eagles or do surveys is to climb up the trees, establish platforms, and then stay there to watch for flying birds. And then, of course, a good communication skills with the local communities, and then good rapport with the communities. That's very important. We really need to maintain good relationships with communities. For research, strong statistical background is very important for statistical analysis of data, mapping or GIS skills for zoning and mapping out protected areas is also a very, very important skill that we need. Falconry skills, training raptors or eagles, either for education or for release, is also a very important skill for us.
Jason, what knowledge gaps are there that you'd like to see addressed about Philippine eagle conservation?
Well, knowledge gaps, we still need to understand mortality rates. First, we don't know how long an adult eagle can live and reproduce in the wild. Some experts think that they can only survive up to 25 years in the wild, but that's basically just an educational guess. So we want to tag as many adult birds as possible, put GPS trackers on them, and also retrap adult birds so that we can fully determine how long they would live in the wild. We can also do DNA study of feathers. For an occupied nesting site, if we can collect feathers every nesting season and do that for the long term, then we can know the identities of the eagles occupying these nesting sites, whether they're the same individual or a new individual based on the DNA fingerprint from the feathers. So that's very important for measuring mortality rates and turnover rates. We also want to know the dispersal patterns of eagles, particularly in Luzon and Samar. We still don't know how big the territory is of Philippine eagles in Luzon and Samar. We don't know where juvenile eagles go after they leave the parents' territory. We all know this information from populations on Mindanao. But again, Samar and Luzon population is still a big mystery. And
Jason, please can you suggest a research project for students who want to study the Philippine eagle?
looking at prey-based density and see if Philippine eagles in the wild have enough food availability. Another topic could be studying the impacts of Philippine Eagle releases in Leyte. As I've mentioned, Leyte has lost its Philippine Eagles. We strongly believe that. But we're now doing eagle releases to bring back a lost apex predator. And we want to know what's the impact of this rewilding or release project. So students can join us in our release sites, do baseline studies of prey base and identify the impacts of the eagles on these areas. Genetic studies would still be very useful. No? Feather DNA, looking at feather DNA. For social science students or anthropology students, they can study human-eagle relationships as well as human and wildlife conflict relationship, human and eagle relationships. In some places, because the eagles feed on livestock, they're seen as pests by the uplanders. So understanding the extent of conflict as well as um, impacts of people to eagles and prey base would be a good topic. And also maybe profiling of diseases of wild population. We're trapping Philippine eagles in the wild, and the student can collect blood samples together with the veterinarian and profile uh, the occurrence of diseases, be it viral, bacterial, or fungal in wild populations. And this can be very important baselines for managing the population in the face of the threats of avian flu, Newcastle's disease, and other exotic diseases. So these are a few of the topics that the students can potentially look at and study.
Jason, is there anything that you'd like to add? Do you have any advice for people wanting to work with Philippine eagles?
We definitely need your help. As a developing country with very limited resources, despite of that, we have one of the richest ecosystems in the world. Any support in terms of research, in terms of funding, in terms of manpower would be greatly appreciated. Primarily because we believe that although the Philippine eagle is found only in the Philippines, but it's also a biological treasure of the world. We believe that it's one of a kind. It's the last remaining evolutionary creation as predicted from its phylogenetic tree. And it would be a big shame if the world loses this biological treasure. So please help us save our national bird as well as this biological treasure.
Jason, you work with the Philippine Eagle Foundation in the Philippines on the Philippine Eagle Project. Thank you very much for being on the Practical Animal Channel, Jason Ibanez.
Thank you, John.